Hi, welcome back to this free-for-all Friday edition of Focal Point, AFR Talk. I am your congenial, convivial, and amiable host, Brian Fisher. Great to have you on the program with us. We're going to bring in Mark Crutcher, the president and founder of Life Dynamics, on to talk about an explosive new video that they have released this week that proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that Kermit Gosnell is not an outlier. He's not a one-of-a-kind. He's not some kind of rogue abortionist out there, the only one in America doing these kind of Nazi-esque and grotesque things. And we've got some sound bites from the video that Life Dynamics has released. Mark Crutcher is going to work through those with us, and we're going to actually spend 2 segments with him. I did not think we could do justice to this in just one. Now, to set the stage for my conversation with Mark Crutcher, I want to play an excerpt from an interview that I did with CNN. They did a story on the Gosnell verdict and all of that. Was released just a day or two ago, and that included some sound bites from me. And so here's an excerpt. This is CNN Radio interviewing me, talking with me, or including sound bites from me about the Gosnell verdict. Let's listen.
Thanks for tuning in to CNN Radio Newsday. I'm Tommy Andres. The gruesome details of what went on inside Dr. Kermit Gosnell's Philadelphia clinic prompted a jury this week to find the abortion provider guilty on 3 counts of murder. And now, both sides of the abortion debate are using the case as fuel for their fight.
There is no question about whether people who oppose abortion have been reinvigorated by the outcome of the trial.
I think the grotesqueness of what happened here in Gosnell's clinic is going to be a wake-up call to the American people.
Brian Fisher is with the American Family Association. It's an anti-abortion group.
And I think lawmakers are paying attention around the country. I think what we're going to see coming out of this is legislation proposed at the state level, state by state, to strengthen regulations on abortion clinics.
In fact, because of lobbying efforts from people like Fisher, that's already happening. North Dakota recently banned most abortions after 6 weeks, one of the strictest laws in the country. Arkansas banned them at 12 weeks, and Alabama recently overhauled its laws, making it very difficult for abortion clinics to operate in the state.
I believe the pro-life community is winning the battle for the hearts and minds of the American people on this issue, and the Gosnell trial is simply going to provide some additional impetus to that.
At NARAL Pro-Choice America, which supports a woman's right to have a legal abortion, Elise Hogue was prepared for the anti-abortion folks to ramp things up.
To try and use the horrific case of Kermit Gosnell to drive their political agenda, which we all know is to ban abortion entirely.
She thinks those efforts will backfire on her opponents.
In fact, we are hoping that the legacy of this trial, and it's why we've been so outspoken on it, is to actually illuminate what happens when women are denied the right to safe and legal abortion.
So that's some of the reactions, CNN Radio, to the Gosnell verdict. And with us to help us sort through the after effects of the Gosnell verdict, and then to talk about this newest Gosnell-type abortion provider, is Mark Crutcher. Mark has been a guest on this program before. He is the founder and president of Life Dynamics, doing absolutely great work to protect the sanctity of life and protect unborn babies. Mark, welcome back to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Well, thank you, Brian. It's nice to be back.
Mark, I want to kind of walk through. I've grabbed about 6 sound bites from, or 7, I believe, from the video that Life Dynamics released earlier this week, and it has to do with a late-term abortionist by the name of Douglas Carpin of Houston, Texas. Now, I want to have you kind of set this up for us. Actually, in your video release, you did not identify the name of the abortionist or the location, but that has come out subsequently, almost right away. And this video that you have provided, people can go to lifedynamics.org and view this video for themselves. So tell us how it was, Mark, that you wound up interviewing these 3 workers who had been workers in Douglas Carpin's late-term abortion clinic.
Well, I think one of the things that's happening here, and I suspect this is happening matter of fact, I know it's happening in abortion clinics all over the country, is these people that have been involved in these things are starting to panic. And, you know, one of the things that's gotten glossed over in the Gosnell situation is that not only did Gosnell get convicted of murder and he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail, 8 of his employees got convicted of crimes. And I think there's a lot of employees of abortion clinics out there that are like these 3 women that were seeing things that they were thinking, man, I don't know if we ought to be getting mixed up in this, but I guess it's just abortion, and one of them in our video even made that point. Well, this is just abortion, and we thought this was all, this is what goes on when you're working in an abortion clinic. And now they're starting to panic a little bit. And I think you're going to see, I know you're going to see, more and more of these people coming forward and saying, I, like these three did, and say, I'm not interested in going to prison. And I think they're going to be coming forward and trying to make deals with prosecutors, like some of those people in Pennsylvania probably wish they had before they got convicted for the crimes that they were committing. So that's basically the impetus behind these three women coming forward, I think. But
so,
you have to,
in Operation Rescue, my understanding, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that Operation Rescue, you were kind of doing this in coordination or cooperation with Operation Rescue. They had sent a postcard to abortion clinics all over the country, sort of reminding abortion clinic workers of exactly what you said at the beginning, that not only was Kermit Gosnell charged, but those that were helping him, those that were working in his clinic, they also got into some pretty serious legal trouble themselves. And so the fact that now this is out in the open, that we've had a court case which has drawn national attention despite the efforts of the mainstream media to bury it, it may be a serious wake-up call, particularly to workers that are working in these late-term abortion clinics. And are you thinking that we may see more of these workers, as these three women have done, come forward who are actually aiding and abetting in these clinics and maybe serving as whistleblowers on some of the other clinics in America?
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I can tell you from experience being undercover in the abortion industry that this issue of babies being born alive is a exploding phenomenon in that industry. If not, you have a hard time explaining why one abortionist, in this case Kermit Gosnell, literally had hundreds of these situations. Hundreds of situations where these babies are born alive and he butchers them outside the womb. And I think that the reason, we do a lot of, Brian, as you know, we do a lot of litigation support for personal injury attorneys who sue on behalf of women who've been killed or injured or sexually assaulted while having abortions. And I can tell you from experience that we've had in that particular arena, the motivation behind this, these are not accidental situations. These are not babies who are accidentally born alive. These are situations in which that is the intent, is for the baby to be born alive.
Well, and you had that in the Gosnell trial where they talked the fact that labor and delivery was deliberately induced because it was easier to kill the baby when it was out of the womb.
And it's not only easier for them, but it reduces their exposure to medical malpractice. And that's the big issue right there.
Because so the idea there is they're less likely to do some kind of damage to the woman's cervix or uterus if the baby has been delivered.
Absolutely. So they can induce the delivery and hope that the inducement causes the fetal demise, causes the death of the baby. But if it doesn't, then they're going to kill the baby outside the womb. And now I know this is going to sound weird coming from somebody who works 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, basically, to stop the wholesale slaughter of these children. But if you think about it for a minute, the Kermit Gosnells of this world are the intellectually honest pro-aborts. Because philosophically, what they're saying is, if we're going to kill this baby anyway, what difference does it make if it's inside the womb or outside the womb? It's the same baby, right?
And I remember in one of the undercover videos that Live Action released, I think it was the interview or the undercover questioning of Dr. Carhart, and he said, look, I can do whatever I want to the baby you're my patient. The baby's not my patient. And if it'll be in your best interest for me to do anything I want to the baby, I will do anything I want to the baby for your sake. And in his case, that would include delivering the babies alive and then killing them after they've been delivered.
Well, and in the Gosnell trial, one of the defense's primary argument was, if you boil it down to its most elemental state, These women walked into this abortion clinic to get a dead baby. They got a dead baby. What's the problem?
Well, Mark,
And
let's
go ahead.
let's play. I just want to play the first clip. I've got some more, but we'll play some of the rest of the clips in the second segment. Let's play the clip one. This is from the three clinic workers in Carpin's clinic. Let's listen to clip one.
I was an OR assistant. I did a lot of parts of the clinic, and one of my jobs was his right chair assistant. And I never paid attention. I did pay attention, but I didn't know that it was illegal. When he did an abortion, especially a over 20-week abortion, most of the time the fetus would come completely out before he either cut the spinal cord or he introduced one of the instruments into the soft spot of the fetus in order to kill the fetus. And but I wasn't aware. I thought, well, it's an abortion. That's what he does. But I wasn't aware that it was illegal. And on many occasions, we had fetus that he would use the process as far as what is it called, where he would dilate the cervix, and then dilate the cervix, evacuate the uterus, and most of the time we would see him where the fetus would come completely out, and of course the fetus would still be alive because it was still moving, and you could see the stomach breathing. And that's when he would do his, he would snip the spine, as they're saying, that this doctor did. And of course the soft spot was one of the spots that he would take one of the forceps or the, what is it called, the dilators, and stick it down the soft spot of the fetus's head.
You saw this happen?
Oh yes. I think every morning I saw on several occasions. If we had 20-something patients, of course, maybe 10 or 12 or 13 or 15 patients would be large procedures. And out of those large procedures, I'm pretty sure I was seeing at least 3 to 4 fetus that were completely delivered in some way or another.
That's the first clip. We'll come back with Mark Crutcher and listen to several more excerpts from this explosive interview with 3 workers in the late-term abortion clinic of a Douglas Carpin in the city of Houston. It's being investigated right now by authorities in the state of Texas. We'll have more when we come back. Focal Point AFR Talk.